Revealed, my brother-in-law's shocking move into my 400,000 cabin after my husband's funeral, the betrayal that shattered my family. The wind howled through the pines surrounding their beloved cabin like a morning song, a haunting echo of laughter now silenced. Sarah stood at the door, clutching the weathered wood, a place full of memories: her husband's hearty laughter, the kids' playful squeals, warm evenings by the fire. Just a week ago, they had gathered here to celebrate the 4th of July with friends, and now it felt like a mausoleum. Since Nathan's passing, every inch of the cabin screamed his name. The hallowed space was both a comfort and a prison. The walls glistened with laughter, now coated with grief. Sarah's heart battled unspeakable sorrow as she pictured him, the man who dedicated his life to the service, just lying still. The flickering shadows cast by candlelight danced across the walls, reminding her of the warmth that was now perpetually absent. With every breath, she felt the weight of her 2 small children, Mia and Daniel, looking up at her with innocent eyes, searching for stability she struggled to provide. Just then, the door swung open with a force that startled her. It was Tom, her brother-in-law, his presence as unwelcome as a cold wind in mid-January. Without even a hello, he burst in, the confident swagger masking his utter self-interest. "Sarah," he announced, as if he had every right to invade her grief. "I've been thinking about the cabin. There's no way you can handle it alone, and it should be a family refuge." His audacity hit her like an ice bucket. "What did you say?" She felt her breath catch. This place was the last piece she had of Nathan, and now his brother saw it as a mere opportunity. She looked at him, confused and overwhelmed. "It's not just a cabin, it's don't you want the kids to have memories here?" He cut in, his voice sharp and calculated. "This can be a place for us all to come together." They were words drenched in venom. Family? Nathan's legacy didn't mean anything to him. All Sarah saw were dollar signs flashing in Tom's eyes. Before she could form a response, he pushed, relentless. Friends rallied around her when they learned about Tom's proposal, praising Nathan's character, reminding her of the importance of what he stood for. "You are not alone, Sarah," they reassured her. She appreciated their kindness, but guilt squeezed her heart. Was she being selfish for wanting to hold on to this sanctuary? The tension strung tighter as Sarah allowed Tom into the cabin, hoping to reach a compromise. But chaos unfolded. The little miracles of her children turned into reckless explosions, with Tom tossing around ideas of renovations and profits. It forced her to confront the reality: Tom's values clashed violently with her husband's integrity. In that moment, memories of Nathan flooded her mind. The kindness in his eyes, the strength of his character. "You think family means taking everything from one another?" she yelled, her own voice surprising her. This was no longer about a cabin, it was a fight for her family's legacy. Then came the ultimatum. "If you don't let me in on this, Sarah, you'll lose it all." An icy dread settled in her chest. Was it worth losing everything, fighting against someone she once considered kin? With the town watching and breaths held, she felt the walls of her world begin to shift. Could she cling to her past, or would she let Tom tear everything apart? The echoes of laughter and love had never felt so close, and yet so far. As she prepared to respond, one question loomed, filling the air with suspense. Could she protect her inherited sanctuary, or would her brother-in-law's greed win? Sarah's heart raced as she stared at Tom, the silence stretching between them like a taut wire. She felt the weight of his words pressing down on her. Lose it all? The phrase echoed in her mind, a grim reminder that the stakes were higher than just a cabin. It touched her family's foundation. The safety they had built, the dreams traced in the dust. Would it crumble like so much shattered glass? Taking a deep breath, she steadied herself. "You know this is our home. Nathan built it for us, for our family. It means more to me than you can ever understand. Do you think he'd want you sitting alone here with your kids, struggling?" Tom shot back, the gleam of triumph sparking in his eyes. "This cabin could be a legacy for all of us. It can stay in the family, but you have to be open about it. I can help you make it something great." Fury bubbled inside her. "And what does that mean for me?" For Mia and Daniel? His response was quick. It means security. It means memories that aren't just stuck in the past. It's living and adapting, Sarah. Adapting, she repeated, a bitter taste filling her mouth. It stung like a betrayal that slashed deep. Living meant moving on, but it also felt like forgetting all that had come before. This isn't just an investment to me, Tom. It's a graveyard of memories, a tribute to my husband. Tom's expression hardened. You're being naive. You can't cling to ghosts forever. Move on or risk losing everything. This is how the world works. The air crackled with tension as they faced off, two sides of an invisible chasm. All the while, the soft voices of her children floated from the other room, oblivious to the battle raging around them. Suddenly, Sarah was overcome by grief and rage, a potent mix that consumed her. She had always believed in family, loyalty, but this felt like betrayal in its rawest form. I won't let you take this from me, she said, her voice firm as she stepped closer, drawing a line in the sand. If you think you can bulldoze in here and upend everything we built, you're mistaken. I'm not without options. Tom raised an eyebrow, his smirk returning. What are you talking about? What will you do? You can't afford to keep this place without my help. You need me. Her heart raced faster, determination coursing through her veins. I may not have the money, but I have the community. I have friends who love Nathan. If it comes down to it, they would back me against you. The words felt powerful, like a shield held high. Tom's laughter was cold. Good luck with that. You think they stand against family? They don't know your struggle like I do. You'll face this alone. Breathless, she turned away, her mind swirling. How could she protect what mattered most when everyone seemed to tug in different directions? Would she uphold Nathan's legacy against a brother who would claw for it? The doubt pinched at her, but she couldn't allow the fear to drown her. With resolve, she picked up her phone and glanced at the screen, a plan forming. There had to be someone who could help her navigate this mess, someone who understood her commitment to honor Nathan's memory without sacrificing what was rightfully hers. As she tapped the screen, a single thought cut through the chaos. Was she ready to fight Tom with everything she had, or would she navigate the treacherous waters carefully, risking everything she held dear? In the midst of turmoil, a final message pinged, an unexpected source of support that could tip the scales in her favor. Who would it be, and how could they aid in a fight that Sarah felt was only just beginning? Sarah's hands shook as she looked down at her phone. The message was from Lisa, her closest friend since childhood. Lisa knew all about what Sarah had been going through, and the relief coursing through Sarah's veins was almost palpable. The text read simply, "Just heard about Tom. You need a solid plan. Let us meet up." The warmth of that message wrapped around her, pushing back against the cold reality of Tom's insistence. Maybe Lisa could help. Maybe together they could rally the community. With a deep, determined breath, Sarah set the phone down and moved toward the kids' laughter. They were playing in the living room, blissfully unaware of the adult drama unfolding just beyond the threshold. Mia was building a fort out of cushions, her bright laughter filling the air, while Daniel sat nearby, intensely focused on assembling his Lego castle. A wave of love washed over Sarah. This was her life. This was what mattered most. The thought gave her strength. She moved into the room, smiling as she watched them create their little universe. "Mama, look!" Mia exclaimed, proud eyes sparkling. "Our castle is ready." Just then, a shadow crossed the doorway. It was Tom, and his presence made the air feel thick and electric. He stepped inside, the smile on his face a stark contrast to the tension that lingered between them. Perhaps it was naive to hope that he might come seeking a truce. "Nice job, kids," he said, kneeling to admire their hard work. "How about I help you make it even bigger?" The kids looked excited, thrilled by the attention. Sarah's heart twisted. There he was, effortlessly slipping into the role of favorite uncle while she felt like the villain in her own home. "Tom, can we talk?" she asked, her voice steady but her stomach knotted. He stood, brushing off his pants. Sure, but can it wait a minute? The kids are having fun, and I'd hate to ruin their vibe. Her frustration flared, but she held it in. It can't wait. Tom shot her a questioning look before turning back to Mia and Daniel. Just a sec, guys. I need to handle something with your mom. He stepped outside, and the sounds of kid laughter faded into the background. The moment the door closed, the weight of their family ties hung heavily around them, heavier than the wood beams of the cabin. I want to talk about the cabin, Sarah said, her voice firm as she looked into his eyes. You can't just come in here and bulldoze over everything that my husband built. Tom crossed his arms, his posture defensive. I'm trying to help you, Sarah. This isn't just about you clinging to memories. It's about what's best for everyone. We can make something great out of it. It was already great, Sarah replied, hot tears gathering in the corners of her eyes. Before you came in here and started throwing around your plans. Your plans only serve your vision, not the family we once had. For a moment, they stood silent, the emotion crackling between them like electricity. Maybe I can connect you with someone who knows the laws in town. Someone to help you strategize. Sarah was surprised to see a flicker of sincerity in Tom's eyes, but it was quickly masked by his usual bravado. Or you could let me handle it all. I can make this easy for you. But what was easy didn't feel right. Could she really trust him, an ally in a war? Just then, her phone pinged again, another message lighting up the screen. I've got a lead on community support if you're ready to fight back. Her heart surged. She could feel the tide shifting, but would it be enough? Would she rally them all against Tom, or was she risking everything in a game that already felt lost? They locked eyes, and she raised an eyebrow. What are you willing to give up to protect what matters most? As the question lingered in the air, uncertainty flickered across Tom's face. Would he break under pressure, or would he dig in his heels? The battle lines had been drawn, but the war was just beginning. Sarah's heart raced, a mixture of fear and determination coursing through her. Tom's response hung in the air, thick with tension. Just moments ago, they had shared laughter and childhood memories, but now, it felt like they were standing at the edge of a chasm. What do you mean by that? Tom asked, his voice losing its bravado, revealing a hint of vulnerability. Are you really willing to sacrifice the little memories we have left? To erase what this place meant to us? Sarah challenged, stepping closer, her heartbeat echoing in her ears. Tom shifted, his gaze dropping to the ground. I just want what's best for the kids, Sarah. They need stability. You know how chaotic everything has been. And tearing down our past is going to bring stability? She shook her head, frustration boiling over. You think they'll forget everything we built here? That empty walls will replace their memories? The silence felt heavy, drowning out the sound of Daniel and Mia's laughter inside. Sarah could see her children through the window, their little faces aglow with happiness, and it sparked something fierce within her. This was her fight, and it wasn't just about an old cabin, it was about preserving the essence of their family. You don't understand, Tom said, his voice softer now, almost pleading. This cabin is a reminder of what we lost. But it can't hold us hostage. We need to move on. Move on? Sarah echoed, her voice rising in disbelief. You have no idea what it means to move on. This place is my anchor, Tom. It's where we shared holidays, laughter, and love. I won't just throw it away because you're looking for a fresh start. A flicker of anger sparked in Tom's eyes, but it quickly melted into helplessness. I get it, really, I do, but you're making it harder than it needs to be. Harder? Sarah stepped back, shaking her head. You're the one making this harder. You come in here, trying to take control of something you weren't even a part of. You're not my husband, and this isn't your family. I have to protect what remains. Just then, a memory flashed in her mind, a summer day filled with laughter as they built sandcastles at the lake. Memories that felt too precious to let Tom dismantle. What do you want from me? Tom asked, a note of defeat creeping into his voice. What's the plan? The question caught her off guard. She hadn't thought about a real plan, just the instinct to protect. I want you to be honest with me about everything. We might not see eye to eye, but we can bring the community together. If you really care about your kids, we can start there. Tom's eyes searched hers, a flicker of comprehension emerging. You mean help from the community? You think they'll back you up? Yes. Sarah replied, her voice firm. I need to show them what we've built and why it matters. I need their voices. Tom paused, the gears in his mind clearly turning. What if I help but only on my terms? A silence fell around them, heavy with unspoken possibilities. Could she really trust him to be an ally in this fight? As uncertainty clawed at her resolve, her phone buzzed again. Another message from Lisa. I'm worried about you. Let us meet up tonight. We need to strategize. Sarah glanced at Tom, contemplating the enemy he had become. Tonight, we'll talk to the community. Either you're in, or you're not. Tom stared at her, a myriad of emotions flickering across his face. And if I say no? Then I'll find a way to do it without you, she said, the weight of her conviction echoing in her voice. As they stood at a crossroads, the stakes felt higher than ever. But deep in her heart, Sarah knew she had to fight for the children, for the memories, and for the future of the cabin, whatever it might cost. Would Tom truly join her side, or was this just the beginning of a deeper divide? The answer lay just beyond the horizon, waiting to be revealed. Sarah's breath steadied as she moved toward the cabin, her determination rising with every step. With Tom's words still echoing in her mind, she wanted to channel her anxieties not just toward the battle ahead but toward the future she dreamed for her kids. The setting sun cast long shadows on the ground, as if it were reminding her that darkness could dwell in places both familiar and frightening. Inside, the atmosphere was warm and safe. Daniel and Mia were sprawled on the floor, their laughter buoyant as they built a tower of colorful blocks. At that moment, they were blissfully unaware of the tensions diluting the joy outside those four walls. She paused, taking in that image of innocence, the sounds of her children weaving a thread of hope through the chaos. Hey, you two. Can I help with that? She asked, using her light-hearted tone to engage them. Mia looked up, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Mommy, look. We're building the tallest tower ever. Your tower is fantastic. But let us make it even taller, Sarah encouraged, kneeling down beside them. It felt good to be immersed in this moment of creation, to momentarily forget about the weight on her shoulders, but still, doubt gnawed at her. Even here, surrounded by love, she felt a shadow creeping in, a reminder of her conversation with Tom. He might have been a part of their lives in some capacity, but what did that really mean now? She recalled how they used to joke about their futures, how they thought they would always have each other's backs, and yet here they were, on the brink of a major confrontation over a cabin. With purpose, Sarah got up and pulled out her phone to text Lisa back. Yes, let us meet. I need you. As she hit send, her heart beat hard. The kids continued their play, and Sarah made her way to the kitchen, grabbing a mug of coffee. The steam curled upward, filling her with warmth. Just as she was about to head back, the door swung open. Tom stepped inside, wiping his shoes on the mat. Hey, he said, his voice softer than before, yet still laced with tension. Hey, Sarah replied, not sure what to make of this sudden visit. I've been thinking, he started, a tone of contemplation in his voice. Maybe we could work together tonight. Instead of arguing. Her stomach nodded. Was this a genuine offer or just a way to placate her? What do you mean by working together? She pressed. Look, I don't want to destroy your memories. I just want to ensure things are stable for the kids. I can use my connections. I don't want us to become enemies over this. Tom's vulnerability flickered, almost hopeful, a plea beneath his bravado. She could feel the weight of his words, but her defenses were still up. And what does that mean for you? What do you get out of this? Tom sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. Just cooperation. If we can find common ground, maybe we can turn this fight into something positive. The block tower crashed from behind them as the kids squealed in surprise. Sarah's gaze shifted to their laughter, a healing balm on her heart. "I can't promise you my trust right away, Tom," she said slowly, measuring her words. "But for the kids, I'll consider it." His eyes softened then, a flicker of understanding crossing his face. "That's all I need right now." They stood there, the emotional distance not completely bridged but at least marked by a new, tentative path forward. Yet with every step they took into the community discussions, would they uncover an even bigger challenge waiting for them? As shadows loomed high above the cabin, Sarah felt the uncertainty heavy in the air. The battle for their memories and their future was just beginning. What would the community's response be when they finally came together? The sun dipped below the horizon, mingling its last rays with the dusky purples and blues of twilight. Sarah inhaled, the air thick with the scent of pine and warmth from the cabin's hearth. Yet, even this homey aroma couldn't mask the tension brewing just beneath the surface. Tom remained standing just inside the doorway, his hesitation palpable. "I know this is awkward," he started, gripping the doorframe as if it were a lifeline. "But I really think we can approach this like adults." "Adults?" Sarah echoed, folding her arms. "You mean, like we did when this all began? By treating me like a stranger in my own life?" Anger surged within her, but she fought to temper it for the kid's sake. Tom took a step closer, hands raised as if to calm her. "I didn't mean for it to get this far. I want to find a way to make this work." Mia poked her head out from behind Sarah, her innocent gaze bouncing between her parents, confusingly caught up in the undertone of this discussion. "Mommy, can we build the tower again? It fell down." Sarah's heart melted at that. She knelt beside Mia, brushing back her hair. "Of course. We can rebuild it even taller." Turning her back to Tom felt easier, a chance to shield herself from his piercing gaze while she engaged with her daughter. Their laughter was the balm that soothed her frayed nerves. Yet, a part of her remained cautiously aware of Tom's presence. Slowly, as the kids busied themselves with blocks, she glanced at him. He stood by the door, his eyes clouded with a mix of hope and uncertainty. "I think we need to be strategic about this meeting with the community. If we go in together, we can show them a united front." "United front?" Sarah repeated, the skepticism creeping back. "What happens if they side with you? What if I lose everything?" "That's not what I want," he said, frustration edging into his voice. "What I want is to create a space where the kids can feel safe. We're still family, Sarah. Family." That word hung in the air, heavy with the weight of past memories and wounds. "You say that, but family isn't just about blood. It's about trust. And you haven't earned mine back yet." As the moments passed, Tom's posture shifted. He seemed to close off, emotions pooling beneath the surface. But Sarah could see the flicker of determination in his eyes. He was still fighting for a semblance of the bond they once shared. "Just think about it," he said softly, his voice almost a whisper. "If we can find a way to work together, who knows what else we can achieve. I want this for them." There was something in his plea that struck a chord deep within her. The kids giggled, oblivious to the storm brewing just beyond their innocence. Sarah's heart ached with the longing for a family that felt fractured but perhaps wasn't irreparable. With a sigh, she turned fully to face Tom, feeling the vulnerability in her stance. "Okay, I'll consider it. But only if we can establish some clear boundaries. For my peace of mind." "Deal," Tom replied, relief washing over him like a tide. But as they began to brainstorm about the meeting, a shadow crossed Sarah's mind. What would happen when their partnership was put to the test? And could she truly trust him to honor the spirit of the family they once were? Just then, Daniel burst into the kitchen with a triumphant grin. "Mom! Mia! Look! I made this with the blocks." His excitement pierced through the tension. Sarah pushed aside her fears momentarily, clapping her hands. "That's amazing, buddy." But doubt lingered. The path ahead felt fragile, as if it might shatter at the slightest misstep. As the four of them huddled around the new creation, laughter ringing out, Sarah's insides twisted with anticipation. Would their fragile unity hold when the community faced them? And would the echoes of their past threaten to disrupt the future she wanted? She clenched her fists. They were mere hours away from showdown, but who would emerge victorious in defending the memories they all cherished? The wind brushed through the trees, a quiet murmur that seemed to echo the racing thoughts in Sarah's mind. She watched as Daniel excitedly showed off his block creation, imagining a vibrant world where nothing could touch their little family. Yet her heart remained conflicted. The laughter of her children was a balm, but it couldn't fully silence the dissonance between her and Tom. "Look, Mommy. Look how tall it is," Daniel announced joyfully, his small hands waving to emphasize the height of the newly built tower. "I see it, sweetheart. You've done such a great job," Sarah exclaimed, forcing herself to smile. Every cheer felt like she was stacking another block on the tower of their lives, one that felt precarious under the weight of his presence. Mia clapped her hands, eyes wide with admiration for her brother's achievement. "Can we make it even taller?" "Absolutely. Let us add more blocks," she encouraged, taking some from the pile. But beneath her cheer, the shadows of doubt loomed large. Could Tom really be trusted to collaborate in this meeting? Could they muster the strength to face the community together, armed with their fractured history? "Can I help?" Tom asked, stepping in closer to the family gathering, his voice softening. Sarah's stomach nodded. Was it genuine interest, or was he just trying to play the part of the perfect dad? She offered a tight smile. "Sure. Just follow our lead, okay?" The kids welcomed him eagerly, unearthing the enthusiasm that she once cherished. As they built, Tom carefully placed blocks next to Sarah's, engaging her as if trying to find a path back to a softer time. "Mom, look!" Daniel called once more. "It's getting so high." His pride radiated, and despite herself, Sarah felt a flicker of warmth. But she caught a glimpse of Tom from the corner of her eye. For all his tentative movements, he still felt like a foreigner in her heart. Could he pull this off? She opened her mouth to voice a concern, but the words fizzled out, trapped in her throat. The thought of dramatic confrontation loomed ahead, casting a shadow over their playful moment. The door creaked open, and a familiar figure stepped in. It was Sarah's sister, Laura, her expression taut, with worry etched across her features. "Did I interrupt?" "No," Mia called, running over for a hug. "We're building a tower." Laura's smile barely warmed her eyes as she exchanged glances with Tom. The air thickened with unsaid words, and Sarah felt the knot in her stomach tighten again. "Did you hear about the meeting tomorrow?" Laura asked, cutting to the chase. "Yeah," Sarah replied cautiously, sensing the underlying tension. "We're working on a plan." "What kind of plan?" Laura pressed, a blend of directness and concern on her face. "It's an agreement, for the kids," Sarah managed, looking at Tom, who was now quiet as if he sensed the weight of their sister's scrutiny. "At least, it's a start." Laura tilted her head, eyes darting between them, considering their uneasy alliance. "You think that's enough?" "I know Tom means well, but trust is built over time. Be careful." The room fell silent for a heartbeat, and Sarah felt the pervasive doubt wrap around her again. Could they really pull this off? She glanced at Daniel and Mia, who were blissfully unaware of the stakes. Did she really have it in her to walk into that room tomorrow, arm in arm with the man who had broken their family apart? With a shaky breath, Sarah steeled herself. "No matter what comes, we will find a way. For them." But as confidence surged within her, a darker thought flickered. What if, despite her best intentions, this false sense of unity would crumble when it really mattered? Would they truly stand together when the accusations flew? The sun dipped lower, shadows stretching across the floor, echoing her fears. The stakes were high, and as they all worked together, building their tower toward the sky, Sarah felt a sense of urgency surge. Tomorrow would test everything. Could they navigate the storm together, or was this just the beginning of a deeper fracture than she anticipated? Then, all of a sudden, the door creaked open again, and a different figure stepped into the room, someone from the community who could make or break their fragile plan. The newcomer stood silhouetted against the fading light, an unwelcome shade and a stark reminder of the world beyond the warmth of their home. Sarah's heart sank. It was Mr. Jensen, a representative from the community council. The man had a reputation for being both stern and overly pragmatic, often prioritizing rules over feelings. He clutched a clipboard, and that alone raised an avalanche of dread within her. "Good evening, Sarah." "Tom," he said, his voice edged with mild surprise. There was a fleeting look of acknowledgement between him and Tom, but it passed faster than a flicker of light through the trees. The tension thickened as he stepped further inside, the shadows swallowing him whole. "Hi, Mr. Jensen," Sarah sputtered out, her voice coming out softer than she intended. "What brings you here?" "I wanted to check in on your plans for tomorrow's meeting," he replied, adjusting his glasses, his gaze shifting to the scattered blocks on the floor. "You know it's a serious matter. Must be prepared." It felt like his words wrapped around her chest like a vice. With a glance at Tom, Sarah felt the weight of his presence like a heavy stone. She gathered her thoughts. "We're working on an agreement for the kids, to ensure they have what they need as we move forward." Was she convincing him or herself? Mr. Jensen's mouth tightened into a thin line. Such matters are never simple. Best not to bring emotions into it. They tend to cloud judgment. The bluntness felt like a blow, knocking her off instinctively balanced ground. "Just, trust is the center of this," Tom interjected, the tension in his voice palpable. "I want what's best for our children. Can't we work together on this?" Mr. Jensen eyed him, sizing him up. "You misunderstand," he said, tone clipped. "In this community, it's transparency and procedure that matter. Not fleeting sentiments." Danny and Mia, oblivious to the impending storm, continued to stack blocks nearby, but Sarah could sense the heaviness settling over them, like dark clouds before a storm. Her children's laughter grew distant amid the intensity of adult words. "Right, I understand," Sarah replied, fighting against the lump in her throat. Images of disappointment and regrets flooded her mind. What if Mr. Jensen turned the community against them? What if he couldn't see beyond the past mistakes? "We just need some understanding, that's all." Mr. Jensen nodded slowly, his expression revealing nothing. "I encourage you both to focus on the facts. Leave emotions aside. We can revisit feelings afterward, if necessary." The corners of Sarah's mouth tightened. Her composure, fragile as the tower of blocks behind her, felt in jeopardy. How can we separate what we felt for our children? She wanted to scream, but instead, the question hung in the air, a desperate plea for connection amidst their uncertainty. Tom moved closer to Sarah, his presence offering a brief shield against the coldness of Mr. Jensen's demeanor. Yet Sarah sensed the cracks beneath their fragile alliance. Could tomorrow's meeting solidify a new beginning, or unravel them further? As the shadows deepened, Sarah found herself staring at the blocks, her thoughts racing. She could almost hear the doubts whispering. What would the council think? Would they look at Tom as part of the solution, or the problem? Moments hung heavy as she caught Laura's gaze for a brief second. Her sister's face shifted into a blend of determination and worry, a silent encouragement that reminded Sarah she wasn't alone. But what would happen when the truth of their past became known? The door creaked once again, and the air thickened with an even darker tension. Another figure emerged, and with that single change, everything felt poised to break either way. What news would they bring into this room of already simmering uncertainty? The door swung open, and Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Standing there was Laura's husband, Mike. The tension cracked like static in the air, a jarring wave racing through the room as he entered. The corners of his mouth pulled down slightly, evidence of the burdens he carried. "Mike, what are you doing here?" Laura's voice trembled, cutting across the silence like a shard of glass. There was a moment of hesitation, and then he stepped fully into the room, the daylight dying behind him. "I heard about the council meeting tomorrow," he said, his eyes flitting between Sarah and Tom, and finally resting on Mr. Jensen. "I thought this might be the best place to start discussing things." "Things?" Tom echoed, a mix of disbelief and confusion crossing his face. The air thickened as uncertainty swirled in every corner of the room. About the cabin, Mike continued, his voice steady but edged. I think we need to talk about who should be using it now. Sarah felt the room constrict. The cabin, a sanctuary wrinkled by grief, had become a topic coated with raw emotions. Back when they had all been together, it was their escape. Now, the thought of anyone else using it felt like a betrayal. Using it? Sarah repeated, her voice cracking. You don't think I mean, it's not just a place. It's everything. Memories and yes, I understand that, Mike interrupted gently, though his urgency mixed with frustration was palpable. But we can't keep holding on forever. The council wants to know what's south next for that place, whether it'll stay under family stewardship, or if we need to find a better way to manage it. Manage it? Sarah's heart raced. You want to sell it? Do you even hear yourself? Danny and Mia had shifted from their block tower, sensing the tremors coursing through the adults. They glanced between the 6 feet of tension and confusion building like a storm front, anxious little faces reflecting worry. Not selling, Mike retorted with an intensity that startled them all. Look, I'm not here to create problems. I just think it's time we make decisions that are best for everyone. We can't keep living in the past. Best for everyone? Tom stepped forward, his fists clenched. And what about the emotional ties? The history? Or are you just coldly calculating what you can gain? Mike jabbed a finger towards Tom, his eyes blazing. It's not about gain. It's about moving forward. About finding a way to ensure that place doesn't crumble into dust while we fight over it. The room held its breath. Sarah felt the air grow thick and heavy, and she had to fight back tears. It wasn't just the cabin they were fighting about, it was their families, their grief, the lingering shadows of regret from all that had been lost. Family means sacrifice, Laura finally murmured, tears glistening in her eyes. We need to find a way to hold on while letting go together. But could they really find a way to unite? Would Mr. Jensen's rigid viewpoint reshape everything they held on to? As if on cue, Mr. Jensen interrupted their emotional standoff. A meeting's purpose is clear. You must all come prepared with your ideas articulated. Tomorrow will require you to showcase your resolve. The ultimatum hung in the air, the perfect balance of hope and despair. Tomorrow would determine more than just a cabin, it would define the paths of their lives ahead. As the conversation simmered down, Sarah caught Mike's gaze. There was a shared understanding of the burdens they carried, yet the divide was clear. Maybe we should all talk more, Sarah suggested, her heart racing as she realized how fragile their alliances truly were. Before it's too late. But as she looked to the children, her heart twisted at the thought of what was at stake. Tomorrow could either bring them back together or shatter their bonds even further. What if the truth behind their pasts, the grief and anger, held the key to unlocking a future none of them were prepared for? As dawn broke, the warm light trickled into the cabin, illuminating the memories etched in every corner. The shadows of the night before lingered in Sarah's mind, a heavy reminder of the confrontation and the stakes that lay ahead. She moved quietly through the space, mindful of Mia and Daniel still asleep, their innocent faces framed by the soft morning light. Here, in this stillness, she could almost hear Nathan's laughter, feel his presence wrap around her like a warm hug, but the reality of the day loomed large. The meeting with the community was just hours away. A chance, she hoped, to assert her family's legacy, but could she trust Tom and his wavering motives? With a deep breath, Sarah gathered her thoughts. She needed clarity if she was to advocate for her family, for Nathan, and for the cabin that held their love. She poured a cup of coffee, warmth seeping into her hands as each sip fueled her determination. Today would be different, she would not back down. The sounds of soft footsteps behind her pulled her from her reverie. It was Mia, sleep still in her eyes. Morning, Mommy. Can we have pancakes? Sarah couldn't suppress a smile. The innocence of her children was her driving force. Of course. How about we add some blueberries? Mia's face lit up, and within moments they were in the kitchen, laughter mingling with the sweet scent of batter sizzling on the stove. Sarah glanced out the window, feeling the cool breeze against her skin, drawing strength from the natural beauty surrounding her. As they enjoyed breakfast, Daniel joined them, his presence a beacon of light. The joy they shared was a precious reminder of why she fought so hard, and that this was more than just about the cabin, it was about the life they were trying to rebuild. "Mommy, can I help decorate the pancakes?" Daniel asked, his voice bright with eagerness. "Absolutely, my little chef," Sarah exclaimed, her heart swelling with affection for her kids, feeling the weight of their love fortify her. Fortified with the support of her children, they finished the meal together, each bite a testament to the family they were nurturing. After breakfast, her phone buzzed with a new message. It was Lisa, just as planned. "I'm on my way. Let us get this figured out." With renewed purpose, Sarah dressed the kids for the outside world, their faces eager and cheerful despite the upheaval swirling around them. Just as they stepped outside, she spotted Tom's car pulling up. "Okay, kids. Remember, let us be brave today," Sarah said, kneeling to meet their eyes. "This cabin is our home and it's where our family thrives. No matter what happens in the meeting, we stick together, right?" "Right." They chirped in unison, their agreement like a melody of hope in her ears. When Tom approached, Sarah sensed a different energy. He was visibly nervous, his usual bravado replaced with a melancholic sincerity. "Morning, Sarah. Ready?" She nodded, bracing herself for the potential conflict ahead. Throughout the drive, they navigated the sun-drenched country roads in silence, the tension barely contained between them. As they arrived at the community center, Sarah's heart raced. The cool breeze felt sharp against her skin, amplifying the stakes ahead. She could see folks gathering, friends, neighbors' faces woven into the fabric of her life. When they entered the hall, she spotted all the familiar faces, each radiating support and concern. It felt like a community call, an invisible bond drawing everyone together. Sarah stood tall, bolstered by the small army of friends whose lives intertwined with Nathan's legacy. "Thank you all for coming," Sarah began, her voice steady despite her trembling heart. "This cabin represents so much to all of us. It was built on love and laughter, a refuge filled with memories of family." Tom shifted beside her, the tension palpable as his confidence wavered. "I know this place means a lot, but we can't move forward without evolving. We must think about what's next." Gasps filled the hall at his words. The community was uneasy, but Sarah pressed on, seizing the moment. "It doesn't have to be either or. This can be about unity, about sharing this space in a way that preserves our memories while allowing us to create new ones. Together." The murmurs of agreement swelled around her, and she saw her friends nod in support. Then, Mr. Jensen stood forward, looking gravely at both of them. "You'll have to convince us why this needs to remain a family sanctuary." In that moment, Sarah locked eyes with Tom, a silent understanding passing between them. They may have stood on opposing sides, but here, they could forge a compromise, a truce not just for themselves but for their children. "Let us make this a collaborative effort. Together, we can plan community events here. We can honor our past while building a future." Tom nodded slowly, visibly softening. "I'm willing to put aside differences for our kids." A wave of quiet hope swept through the crowd. Sarah's heart soared. She had done it not alone, but fortified by love and community. As she spoke, she saw Daniel and Mia peek out from behind her, and she felt a surge of joy knowing they were all part of this moment, an entire community pulling together, united by memories, love, and a brighter future. When the meeting concluded, the air felt lighter, charged with possibility. Tom approached her, vulnerability washing over his face. "I am sorry for trying to bulldoze my way through. I want us to create special memories. For Mia and Daniel." "I know," she replied, her voice warm. "Let us work on this together." In that exchange, they forged a new relationship, a commitment to not just defend the past, but to build the future together. As the sun dipped low in the sky, painting the clouds with hues of orange and pink, Sarah felt a renewed sense of hope. They were a family, flawed yet resilient, standing strong in the face of adversity. Together, they turned towards the cabin, their sanctuary, and ready to paint the walls of their lives with new memories. this was the moment where healing began, where laughter mingled with light in a place that felt like the heart of their family again. Before they left, Sarah pointed towards Mia and Daniel. "Let us create something wonderful together." And with that, laughter echoed through the trees as they walked side by side, their future stretching in front of them like the radiant sunset, full of promise and serenity. Now is the moment for you too. If you want to keep following incredible stories like this, you need to subscribe to the channel immediately. Don't miss out, leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your thoughts about this emotional conclusion, and share this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear about the power of community and family. Be a true supporter and don't wait not even one more second to engage. I promise you'll feel amazing for doing so.